Hey there, welcome to Chem Eng Weekly.
University interviews can certainly be intense, but knowing how to prepare for them can actually help you get in a better mindset and perform better at the actual interview. So what are the best tips and tricks generally when talking about an interview for university? Let's get started. Step 1. Planning and preparation. Given how you would only be given a week or 2 weeks notice by the actual university for your interview, it's always better to plan and prepare well in advance, such as a month in advance, because this gives you a good time frame to work out what requirements you need to succeed at the interview, what resources you can get together, and how you can use these to your advantage. You should research your chosen degree's specific interview requirements, such as the setup, how many interviews or what sort of questions you will be presented with, whether you need to read some material before you go into the actual interview assessment that they'll provide to you on the day, or you'll be assessed at, before or after interview with a maths test, for example, and what sort of subject you should revise to do the best at this. If you're having trouble finding the specifics of an interview setup, then you should always try a quick Google search or a search on YouTube to see if there's any videos or information that can help you. If not, you should try to utilize your LinkedIn network, connecting to students who have already gone through the interview process and been successful, or using Instagram handles and other connectivity platforms to try and find anybody who can help you with this regard. I will be releasing more specifics for chemical engineering in the coming future. You should also be aware of what sort of things you'll be tested on, whether they will test you on technical knowledge or more just general knowledge, and whether you have to know anything about the interview itself. Step 2. Essentials in the week's build-up. For UK applicants, there are 2 essential things that they all must focus on when going to prepare for an interview. This is because they almost always come up, and having a good knowledge about these will prepare you better than not having any knowledge about it. The first one is your personal statement. The reason this is important is because each personal statement is unique to the person who wrote it, and therefore you most likely will be grilled about what you've written, what you learned, and how this motivated you, especially given how 4,000 characters isn't an awful lot of space to talk about everything and explain every little detail on there. It has not been uncommon in the past for university admissions interviewers to pull out a copy of your personal statement, circle something, and ask the candidate to elaborate on the spot. So it's best that you first of all have done everything you have said on your personal statement in real life to have good practice at it, and second of all, you review it in the week's build-up so you know exactly what you can say if they ask you about any of the questions or any of the parts on your personal statement. And the second most essential thing to prepare for any university admissions interview is the answer to 5 basic questions. These questions are very commonplace and almost a staple in any university interview, and if you have any general interviews on a standalone, you'll most likely be able to build from these questions to have a good academic chat with your interviewers. The 5 questions are: why do you want to study this course? Why do you want to study it at this university? What are your main interests outside school? Why did you study your chosen A-level subjects? And what is your long-term goal with this degree? You should definitely prepare answers to these questions, as these are quite common in university interviews, as I have said, but you should also prepare for curveball questions. These are questions that are unexpected and may throw you off balance, so you should always be thinking on your feet and coming up with some examples that you might get caught out with. A quick search for university curveball questions is a good way to prepare for these. The other thing that might help you prepare better for your interview is perhaps researching your interviewers, because more often than not you'll be shown by name who your interviewers are in the invitation email you get from your university. So maybe researching what they're about, what they teach, and maybe coming up with some questions, not so academic but more wider and speculative, would do good, because it'll leave a good impression, showing you're actually engaged. Finally, step 3, the interview. So for the interview itself, you should make sure that you arrive before time, because being early is being on time, and being on time is being late in the views of interviewers and as a general rule of thumb for life. So you should always start with a good impression and avoid getting any extra stress on the day of your interview. You should try to remain calm and remain comfortable, because you don't want to come across as too confident, because that might come and damage your impression that you leave on your interviewers. So trying to remain calm and comfortable is very important. If you're attending an interview virtually, you should be prepared for technological failure and see what the protocols are for if your interviewer goes down or your connection drops out, You should also know what technology you're using and how to work it, as well as the app that you're using it on. And you should be aware of the microphone, the settings of the lighting, any filters that you don't want to pop up, notifications being silenced, phone calls silenced, nobody in the room, distractions turned off, etc, etc. The most important thing about the interview is trying not to be nervous and keeping an open mind to anything they ask you, because listening carefully and thinking out loud will help you come across as somebody who's willing to learn. And ultimately, as well as being a well-rounded candidate, university interviewers want to see somebody who is teachable, and by doing these things you'll come across as the perfect candidate. So finally, I would say you should try to stay calm and try to perform your best at interview, and keep to these tips because preparation is the best chance of success. And with that comes to the end of the video.
Thank you for watching the video. Be sure to like it if you enjoyed it, and leave your comments and suggestions down in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow us on our social media channels, and if you click here or here, you can watch another one of our videos. Click up here to subscribe, and thank you very much.